Good morning, everyone. I welcome you all on the behalf of StudyIQ IAS English. My name is Pritesh Mathurkar. I am your primary faculty for analyzing the Hindu newspaper. I extend my warmest regards to everyone, those who are joining me for the first time today, and also those who are sticking with me since day one. I have faith that whatever we are doing in this journey, whatever we are accomplishing in this endeavor, all of you are greatly benefiting from it. Okay. So this endeavor has been especially started for you all, for the aspirants which start their preparation from a basic level, and slowly we advance into the other levels. Why the analysis of Hindu is so damn important? Because the civil services examination is a evolutionary examination. Each year you will have questions which are more analytical, which are more in depth, which are more with regards to your thinking, with regards to your opinion forming, and with regards to your understanding of the issue holistically. Hence, the analysis of the Hindu comes in handy, wherein using this analysis, we tend to picture a utilitarian value of the content which we discuss in the class, and using this content, we tend to do opinion forming, we tend to do analysis, and most importantly, we critically analyze the issue. So, using this endeavor, guys, I intend to cover roughly 30 to 40 marks in your prelims and approximately 200 to 300 marks in your mains. And if everything comes in our purview, like if we are lucky enough that we can have GS paper 3, we can have essay paper, and sometimes the ethics paper 2, so we can increase our coverage up to 500 marks too, and that's a very big kind of coverage from just one document, that is the newspaper. So please treat this discipline, please treat this curriculum from a utilitarian perspective, and in this curriculum we'll be also be focusing on answer writing, we'll be also be focusing on structuring and vocabulary too. Okay, so please make sure that you are in consonance with me. Okay, and as I promised, like every day's workflow will begin from a very famous quote, then I will give you the detailed analysis of that day's Hindu in a PDF format, and all of these PDFs will be readily available to everyone on an open Telegram channel. So 1 hour, 1.5 hours with me, half an hour with you every day, you are done and dusted with your current affairs. So you will be having your own stockpile of current affairs which you can directly utilize in your mains. Good morning, Stuti. Good morning, Anup. I hope both of you are doing fine, and rest who for you are watching me. So without any further ado, let's begin our today's session. So today's quote is rather, dare I say, a little bit controversial because it is very difficult one to grasp. Okay, and if you can see the name, this quote is by a very famous Greek philosopher, Plato. Okay, Plato has contributed to every discipline basically. Plato has contributed to philosophy, Plato has contributed to geography, Plato has also contributed to some of the astronomical and astrological things too. So according to Plato, wise men speak because they have something to say, wise men speak because they have something to say, fools because they have to say something, fools because they have to say something. So if I translate this quote in a very simpler format, then it is called as the silence is the most golden virtue. When will wise men speak? Morning Aditi, wise men will speak only when they feel that it is important that you have to break the ice. Only when the issue is so goddamn important that now it is imperative on their part that they have to open up their mouth. And fools, when will fools speak? Because they have to say something, they have to utter anything. So it is a quote which basically describes your character. It is a quote which basically attributes different virtues to your character. Are you a person who is breaking the ice only when it is necessary? Are you taking right decisions in your life at the right time? Are you stepping in the battlefield only when you feel that now it's your turn? Now it's imperative for you to step in the battlefield. Okay, then only you will step in the battlefield. Otherwise, why do you open up your mouth? Otherwise, why to open up one's mouth? Why to step in the battlefield when it's not necessary? Okay, and this quote in general will apply in every aspect of your life. Okay, when you are taking a particular decision, is that decision worth taking, or are you taking that decision only under peer pressure? Are you taking that decision only under the influence of someone? No, you have to be wise, And once you are wise, you will only take decision when it is necessary. You will not keep on taking foolish decisions in your life. So you watching these sessions with me, you doing this analysis with me, is this a wise decision? It is for you all to decide. Me discussing with you, it is a wise decision from my end, because I'm giving you the best of analysis which can be given on YouTube today. But it is your decision now, guys, whether you want to give me that respect, whether you want to command this in your life. So always make sure that you open up your mouth, or you step in the battlefield, or you take proper decisions only when you deem it necessary. Don't be a fool to be involved in every aspect. Don't be a foolish person. Don't be a foolish kind of human being that you are doing everything under the peer pressure. You are doing everything under the societal pressure. Be wise, be silent, and only step in when it becomes necessary. Okay. So if I'm enlarging this quote further, okay, you cannot be a hero in every story. Sometimes you will have to be a villain. Villain in the sense of what? You are only breaking ice when you feel it is necessary. So you are stepping in the life's battlefield when you feel that the battle cannot be won, the war cannot be won without your support. And that is when you show the world that how important you are. Basically, this quote is what? It showcases your importance. You are only coming in the battlefield when the battle cannot be won without your support. Okay, so it shows your importance. So I hope that this quote is imbibed in everyone's bloodstream, and that from today onwards you will utter your words, you will take decisions, and you will step in the battlefield with utmost caution, with utmost respect, and keeping in mind how important you goddamn are. Okay, so let's start today's analysis of Hindu. In every lecture, I give you a severity score of the articles. Today's severity score is between, again, 4 to 6. Okay, one article, that is the article on science and technology. It's a very important article, and which I'm predicting is having almost 1000% chance to be asked in this prelims. So those who are preparing for this year, those who are attempting this year, there is almost 1000% chance that you will for sure shot have that news in your prelims. And as the technology evolves further, as we have more in-depth understanding, it has a high propensity to be asked in mains too. Okay, and that article is with regards to science and tech. So that one article will have a severity score of 7 to 8, but rest of the articles are between 4 to 6. So not that important and not that least important. So middle ground for everything. Okay, so guys, today's articles are little bit daunting in the sense that we will discuss some of the contentious issues that are plaguing our Indian society with regards to sexual harassments of the women, with regards to the ill effects of interlinking Aadhaar with your bank account, with regards to the negative uses of technology. Okay, so today's articles are all articles on a negative tone. Okay, they are on a somber tone, but we as civil servants, here I say, you as the future civil servants of India, you have to be very critical, you have to be very vocal of some issues, and you have to see that this does not translate into society in a negative manner. So especially the girls today who are watching me, especially the women today who are watching me, please bear with me, because the language which I will be using today, it will be little bit kind of shaky language. Shaky in the sense that some words may hit you and some words will rattle you to the core. Okay, but we as civil servants, we have to do this, that we have to discuss the issues which are pegging the most vulnerable sections of the society. So just bear with me, guys, especially the women in this class, so that you understand the issue holistically and you are better informed, and you are also informing to the other women in the society. Okay, sometimes it may happen that in an article the language is little bit rattling you to the core, but it becomes imperative that we use that language, we understand that language, because that is how society functions. Society will not function in a way in which you deem it to function. Okay, society will always function in a manner wherein it will act against you. Okay, majority of the times the societal ethics and the personal ethics don't match. Dare I say, the ethics are of the society. Ethics are what? Ethics are nothing but values applied at a societal level. So there will be always be a dilemma between the societal ethics and the individual morals. Morals are nothing but values applied at individual level. Please get this distinction very, very properly. One line differentiation between ethics and morals. What are ethics? Ethics are values applied at societal level, whereas morals are values applied at individual level. So it might happen that your individual morals may contract the societal ethics, that the societal ethics may go in a different path as compared to your individual morals. What might be ethically right for the society might be absolutely morally wrong for you. What may be morally right for you might be absolutely ethically wrong for the society. Okay, and whenever discussions on sexual harassment will come, whenever discussions on intercaste marriages, or let's say anything with regards to religious conversion, anything with regards to the contentious issues which peg India, which are important from the constitutional perspective, which are important from you upholding the constitutional prestige, then you will have such rattling words in the articles, but you will have to do this. So please understand the clear-cut differentiation between ethics and morals. Ethics are values applied at a societal level, whereas morals are values applied at an individual level. What might be ethically correct might be morally absolutely wrong, that you don't value that, but the society values it. So as you are a little part of the society, you will have to go in the society's way. But what might be societally wrong, what might be ethically wrong, might be morally right. So again, the same thing will happen. Okay, so the first article today is again a part of judicial overreach, is again a part of judicial activism, wherein the Supreme Court has said that there is no proper mechanism in majority of the companies of India, in majority of the public undertaking of India, in majority of the private companies, wherein women can go and file grievances with regards to sexual harassment at workplaces. So there needs to be some internal committee, there needs to be some internal grievance mechanism, wherein if the women face sexual harassment in the workplace, so they need to have some mechanism wherein they can voice their concerns and wherein you can have justice. Okay, there are two things, guys. Okay, the girls in the class, I hope Stuti and Aditi, you are listening. See, there are two things in this. Okay, first thing, where you are working, either there you can have a internal mechanism wherein you can voice your concerns, or if that is not available, what is the second option for you all, especially the women? So second option is that you file a FIR, you file criminal charges against that person, and you keep on fighting in the courts. So what is the better way? Like, if you are advocating for second way, that you will be fighting in the courts, you will be placing some charges, so there is high chance that that may go in the wrong direction. Whereas if you have an internal mechanism at the workplace itself, so you can ensure accountability, you can ensure transparency, you can ensure probity. Why? Because in the workplace, that person or that individual is working, and if she starts fearing that, oh, if we do such a thing, then it can come on our livelihood source, it can come on our income source, then there is more accountability at the workplace. Hence, always be clear in this distinction that pursuing justice from this restorative point of view is not good. That, okay, wrong is done to you, fight in the court and get justice. Justice should always be reformative. Reformative means what? That justice evolves with time, justice evolves with the modern day trends of 21st century. Okay, so now you have women working in the mainstream economy, you have women working at the workplaces, so now it is imperative that you have some grievance mechanism, you have some grievance addressal mechanism in the workplace itself, wherein the justice can be served. Okay, so it's a debate between what? Between a restorative justice and a reformative justice. And mind you, justice should always be reformative. That is the spirit of the Constitution of India. It's a sad thing that in India, justice ends up being restorative, that oh, some injustice has been done to you, so we will negate that injustice. No, justice should always be reformative. That is the true constitutional spirit. So this judgment by Supreme Court, this analysis of this article, please take this analysis in the way of you getting reformative justice. Okay, I hope this distinction is clear to everyone. So let's start discussing the article. on sexual harassment in the workplaces. This article is very important with regards to the vulnerable sections of the society, especially the women, especially the physically disabled and children too. Okay. How did the POSH Act come into being? How does it define sexual harassment at the workplace, and what does it require employers to do? What are the serious lapses flagged by the Supreme Court, and what have been done for the hurdles to get law implemented? Okay. So 10 years after the sexual harassment of women at workplace, prevention, prohibition and redressal. Prevention, Prohibition and Redressal Act of 2013. It is called as POSH. Prevention of Sexual Harassment of Women at the Workplace came into force. The Supreme Court bench of India has said that there are serious lapses and uncertainty regarding its implementation. So this is a kind of judicial outreach. This is a kind of judicial activism wherein now Supreme Court is directing or is implementing or is giving its advice in a area wherein it has to be primarily responsibility of the regulator. It is the primary responsibility of the law enforcer to ensure that this does not happen. Okay, as said that there are serious lapses and uncertainty regarding the implementation. Okay, when was the POSH Act formed? In 1992, Banwari Devi, a social worker with Women's Development Project of the Rajasthan government, was gang raped by 5 men after she tried to prevent the marriage of 1-year-old girl. Okay, so very daunting kind of situation that in Indian society we have such evil persons who do such kind of evil acts, but basically this resulted into the formation of the act and the tabling of act in the parliament and it eventually getting converted into law. Okay, after this the Supreme Court directed, it laid down a set of guidelines in 1997. Okay, see, it happened in 1992. It took how many years? Roughly 5 years for Supreme Court to frame guidelines. The parliament was still silent. There was no act, there was no regulation. It took 5 years after this incident for Supreme Court to give the Vishakha guidelines. Please remember the name of these guidelines. This is Vishakha guidelines to fill the statutory vacuum till a law could be enacted. These were to be strictly observed in all workplaces and were binding and enforceable in law. Okay, there was no act passed by the parliament. There was no statutory regulation. Hence, Supreme Court came up with Vishakha guidelines after this incident in 1992 and it took sweet 5 years for this guideline to come. Okay, after that, it was only in the year 2013 that the bill which finally became amended and it came into force on December 9, 2013 as the Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Prevention, Prohibition and Redressal or POSH Act. So the incident happened in 1992 and the bill finally came when the law finally came when in the year 2013. So just imagine how long this journey has been. Okay, the incident happened in 1992 and it took more than 20 years for the act to be formed, for it to be regulated. Okay, so please remember the incident name and please remember the word Vishakha guidelines and please remember the year when this act was being tabled. Okay, the amended bill came into force on December 9, 2013 as the Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Prevention, Prohibition and Redressal Act or POSH Act. Okay, what is the POSH Act? So now here lies the definition. Okay, now you will ask me, sir, how come the definition is important? What are we going to do of the definition? Okay, wherein this definition can be asked. So guys, some definitions or some in-depth analysis is important from personality perspective too. So imagine you are sitting in front of a panel and in that panel, in your interview, you are being asked that comment on the present status of the sexual harassment of women at the workplaces. What you will do if you are a district collector, what you will do if you are a magistrate. So case studies wherein you are being put in stress situation. So you need to understand the exact definition of what constitutes this offense. What do you mean by sexual harassment? So just one line definition of sexual harassment according to Act, and that is what you all need to remember. Okay. The POSH Act defines sexual harassment to include unwelcome acts such as, so what it includes? Unwelcome acts such as what? physical contact and sexual advances, a demand or request for sexual favors, a demand or request for sexual favors, making sexually colored remarks, showing pornography, and other unwelcome physical, verbal, or non-verbal conducts of sexual nature. So, what do you mean by sexual harassment? In one word or in one line, it will include unwelcome acts such as physical contact, sexual advances, request for sexual favors, making sexually colored remarks, showing pornography. This is very important, guys. Okay, like majority of the workplaces today, this has become a new menace. Okay, wherein deliberately women are showed pornographic images, pornographic videos, and they are forced to do something. Okay, showing pornography and any other unwelcome physical, verbal, or non-verbal contact of which nature? Sexual nature. Okay, see guys, there is a catch over here. Okay, this needs to be of what nature? Sexual nature. There is a difference between consent, there is a difference being enjoyment and it being crossing the territory and ending up into a sexual offense. So as long as the consent is maintained, as long as the barriers are maintained, then it is not a problem. Whereas if you cross the barriers, then it will become an offense under the POSH Act. Okay. All women employees, whether employed regularly, temporary, contractually, or on an ad hoc or daily wage basis as apprentice or interns, or even employed without the knowledge of principal employer, can seek redressal to sexual harassment in the workplace. It does not mean that a woman needs to be a former employee. It does not even mean that you should know who your employer is. Okay, the act gives you power. The act empowers any woman in Indian territory. The act empowers any woman, whether she be a migrant, whether she be a permanent resident, to seek. Okay, yeah, we are live again. There are some connectivity issues. Just a moment. Okay, we are live again, I guess. Hello. Okay. Can anybody comment whether you can see the video clearly? Please give me a yes, no, so that I can move forward. Okay. Can you all hear and see me properly now? There are some connectivity issues in this area. Yeah, okay, I guess we are live again. It's going fine now. Okay, apologies. So climate change is striking this part of India severely. So there are severe storms going on over here. So because of that, you do have connectivity issues in this part of the central India. So let's move ahead. So basically, what does this law mean? Okay, this law means that any woman, irrespective of whether she knows the employer or whether she does not know the employer, irrespective of whether she is a migrant or she is a permanent resident, she is working on an ad hoc basis, on a daily basis, or a salaried basis, any woman is entitled to have this justice. Okay, let's move ahead. The law expands the definition of workplace. Okay, the law will expand what? The definition of workplace, and the definition of workplace will also include non-traditional workplaces. Please get this very properly. Okay, the workplace will also include non-traditional workplaces. Means it does not mean that you need to be working in a proper corporate environment. Okay, the environment can be set up inside a house, Any environment. The environment can be set up in a rented place. So whatever the working environment is, whatever the workplace is, whether it be traditional or non-traditional, every workplace is included under the ambit of this law. Okay. And what is the responsibility on the employer? So if I am the employer and if I'm employing a certain number of people, so what is my responsibility as per the law? And guys, this is very important, so focus on me. Okay. The law requires any employer with more than 10 employees to form an internal complaints committee. So you need to form what? You need to form an internal complaints committee, which can be approached by a woman employee to file a formal sexual harassment complaint. So you need to form what? You need to form ICC, Internal Complaints Committee, which can be approached by any woman employed to file a formal sexual harassment complaint. It has to be headed by a woman and have at least 2 women employees. So it has to be headed by the woman and it needs to have at least 2 women employees, another employee and a third party such as an NGO worker with 5 years experience familiar with the challenges of sexual harassment. So the internal complaints committee, it has to be formed by whom? It has to be formed by the employer, and it is compulsory under the law to form this. Okay, and it has to be headed by whom? By a woman. It needs to have at least 2 women employees, another employee and a third party including an NGO worker with at least 5 years of experience in dealing with such cases. So this is mandated by the law. And besides this, if this is not possible, if the employee number is less than 10, okay, so if I am an employer and in my workplace or in my factory or in my godown, any workplace, I'm having less than 10 women, if having less than 10 employees working in under me, so in such circumstances, what is mandated? It is mandated that every district in the country to create a local committee to receive complaints from women working in firms with less than 10 employees and form the informal sector, including domestic workers, home-based workers, voluntary government social workers, and so on. So, even though you have a formal structure that you have more than 10 employees working under you, then it is compulsory for you to set up ICC. That ICC needs to be headed by a woman. It needs to have at least 2 women employees and a third party like an NGO worker, wherein that worker is having at least 5 years of experience in dealing with this sexual harassment cases. And in such conditions wherein the employee number is less than 10, then it is the responsibility, it is the accountability of the local committee, it is the responsibility of the local district to form what? To create a local committee to receive complaints from women working in firms with less than 10 employees. Okay, so every woman in India is covered under this ambit. If you cannot reach to the internal complaints committee because your employer strength is less than 10, then you can approach to the local committee in your district, and this is mandated by the law. Okay, then what are the hurdles in this? This is very, very important. So what basically Supreme Court has said and what are the hurdles in this law, that is what we are going to analyze in a detailed basis. Okay, so the first hurdle is that the Supreme Court in its recent judgment called out the lacunas in the constitution of ICC, citing a newspaper report that 16 out of 30 national sports federations in the country had not constituted an ICC. So you all know that recently the Olympic winners of India, the Commonwealth Game winners of India, the women folk of India who basically outshined on the world stage, they are now fighting, they are now protesting in Delhi to file a FIR against the president of the Wrestling Federation. So Supreme Court questioned, Supreme Court asked that how is this possible that in India out of 30, 16, only 16 sports federation have filed ICC, rest of them have not filed. So the first lacuna is whether it is being implemented properly or not. Okay, so pointing out that they either had inadequate number of members or lacked a mandatory external members. So the first lacuna which the employer normally flags out, that why they have not formed internal complaints committee. Why? Because they either had inadequate number of members, they didn't have the 3 members, or lacked a mandatory external member, because you also need to have a third party wherein you need to have that NGO worker. So the employer says that no, we can't fulfill this criteria, hence we have not formed the committee. The second lacuna, one of the concerns is that the Act does not satisfactorily address accountability, not specifying who is in charge of ensuring the workplace comply with the Act and who can be held responsible if its provisions are not followed. So, this Act does not say that whose responsibility it is explicitly, whether you need to have a nodal officer at the workplace, where you need to have a manager at the workplace who manages this everything. So it does not specify, it only specifies what, that any employer having more than 10 employees should do this, but in whether that employer should at least do this or who the person should be at the workplace ensuring this. Okay, so one of the concerns is that the Act does not satisfactorily address accountability, not specifying who is in charge of ensuring the workplace comply with the Act and who can be held responsible if provisions are not followed. Okay, the third lacuna is how largely inaccessible to women workers in the informal sector. Third lacuna is that now just imagine that a woman is working in informal sector. Okay, so now do you think that the woman can actually approach the local committee federated by the district administration? No. In a corporate environment, it's easy because you have channelized mechanism that you can do this. You can just mail up, you can issue your complaint, you can have your grievance redressal. But what about the uneducated women? What about those women who don't understand that actually harassment is happening with them? And even if harassment happens with them, what about the pressure on them to not file a complaint, to not seek justice? Because you all know that Indian society is a male dominated society. Indian society is where patriarchy thrives. So women basically, they fear in lodging the complaint. And now just think, what about the uneducated women of India who do a ad hoc basis work like domestic aid workers? No, so they cannot seek this. So the first lacuna is that the requirements for members are not fulfilled, hence the employer just goes away with the responsibility of forming the ICC. Second lacuna is that there is no nodal officer in charge of forming this committee. The Act does not specify that whose responsibility it is, whose accountability it is to form this committee. The third lacuna is this law is largely inaccessible to the women in the informal sector. The fourth lacuna being it is the inefficient functioning and the lack of clarity in the law about how such conduct inquiries have ended up duplicating the access barriers associated with the justice system. Most importantly, the power dynamics of the organism and the fear of professional repercussions also stand in the way for women filing complaints. So the fear in what? What women fear? See, already women working in an environment, already women earning in India, already women being the breadwinner of family is still not acceptable in Indian society. You say no or you say yes. This is the harsh reality. We have to accept the harsh reality that still India has not got the whim of the capitalist mindset. What do you mean by this? That women getting employment today, the girls who are watching me now, I have Stuti, I have Kalash, I have Aditi. So why do you think that you are having this prestige of listening to these lectures? Why do you think you have the prestige of appearing in civil services examination? Why? Because it was the change of working nature. It was the change of the working structure which followed the industrial revolution, which followed the capitalist mindset, that now women need not sit in the households. Women need not be the persons who are only managing the house. They can also go outside and earn. So the Indian society is still yet to grapple with this, that yes, a woman can go and a woman can earn money. So if we are not accepting this, now just imagine that if you have already broken the glass ceiling, you are working in an environment, you are working in a corporate sector, and if you start filing complaint against sexual harassment, and if your boss starts pressuring you, if the senior just above you starts pressurizing you, so you have the fear of losing your job. And this does not mean that the sexual advancements or the sexual harassment be done by a male boss only. It can also be done by a female. So how come you are going to manage all these things? So this is the fourth lacuna. Okay, the power dynamics of the organism and the fear of professional repercussions also stand in the way of women filing for complaints. So these are the four lacunas of this act. Okay, now what Supreme Court has said, the Supreme Court has directed the unions, the states and the UTs to undertake a time-bound exercise. These bodies have to be ordered to publish the details of their respective committees on their websites. Supreme Court has basically ordered what the union, the state and every goddamn UT in India to undertake strict action, and that it should provide the information of the respective committees on their websites. So this is very, very important, guys. Okay, so this was the first article today, the explainer, which was very important. Okay, the second article today is with regards to the the second article that we are discussing today is with regards to the drawbacks in the Aadhaar enabled payment systems. Basically the breach of data, how the data is stored, how the data is utilized, where are the loopholes and how you can prevent this. So this article is a one-stop destination for what? It's a one-stop destination for covering all the aspects with regards to the security, with regards to ensuring the breach of your Aadhaar data. So treat this article with respect, just this one article, plain simple reading. You don't need to summarize. Article is very easy. Whatever I'm speaking, just keep in mind, you will be taken care of everything. Okay. So what are Aadhaar enabled payment systems? How are cyber criminals using Aadhaar for financial fraud? So you need to understand this, that what is Aadhaar enabled payment system. So normally whenever you pay, you have 2 to 3 options in India. You either pay by card. So as soon as you tap a card, you get one-time password in online payment, or you have to enter the PIN. Nowadays we are having UPI enabled payment system. UPI means you have to enter your UPI PIN. When you enter the UPI PIN, then only the payment is authorized. But in Aadhaar enabled payment system, what is done? So you have to give your Aadhaar number. When you give your Aadhaar number, you have to give your biometric scan. So basically you are paying the money, or you are paying the amount using your thumb, using your index finger, whatever be the biometric sensors working over there. So if I'm paying using thumb, if I'm paying the person using my thumb, I cannot, or I do not receive one-time password on my phone. In Aadhaar enabled payment systems, you don't receive one-time password on your cell phones. It is basically payment using your thumb, and this is where the catch is. So now just imagine that if an uneducated person is being framed that do the payment, do the payment, do the payment, and he's in the lure that okay, I will get one-time password on my phone and then I will pay. But no, as soon as he gives his thumb, as soon as he puts his thumb on that biometric scanner, the amount is deducted. And now, how cyber criminals are targeting this? Cyber criminals are targeting this by using silicon thumbs. So they do what? As soon as you have put your thumb, as soon as you take it out, they get a silicon thumb. On silicon thumb, they put up some adhesive. As soon as they put it up on the scanner, your fingerprint gets registered on that silicon thumb. And once your fingerprint gets registered, they can use this to deduct as much amount as is there in your account. So basically, you can become zero from hero in a fraction of a second. Okay, so this article is important for your understanding of what do you mean by silicon thumb, what do you mean by digital forging of the fingerprint, and how your data is actually stored and processed by the UIDAI. Okay, the Aadhaar enabled payment system is a bank-led model which allows online financial transactions at point of sale devices, which allows what? Online financial transactions at point of sale devices and micro ATMs of any bank using Aadhaar authentication. Using which authentication? Aadhaar authentication. It allows the fund transfer using the only bank name, Aadhaar number and a fingerprint captured during the Aadhaar enrollment according to the National Payments Corporation of India. So using this payment, how does this payment system work? It allows the fund transfers using only the bank name. So you don't require the bank account number. You only require the Aadhaar number, the bank name and the fingerprint captured during the Aadhaar enrollment. Why? Because your bank account is linked with your Aadhaar number. Your Aadhaar number is linked with your bank account. So only the bank name, the fingerprint, because your fingerprint is linked to the Aadhaar, your Aadhaar is linked to the phone, and your phone is also linked to the bank using during Aadhaar enrollment as per the NPCI. Okay, and is Aadhaar enabled payment system enabled by default? The answer is no, it is not enabled by default. Neither the Unique Identification Authority of India UIDI nor NPCI mention clearly whether APS is enabled by default. So there is no one stop answer whether it is enabled by default, yes or no. The answer is no. Okay. Users who wish to receive any benefit or subsidiary under the schemes notified under Section 7 of the Aadhaar Act have to mandatorily submit their Aadhaar number to the banking service provider according to UIDI. So, where you have to mandatorily do this only when you are a benefactor of any subsidy. Then only it becomes mandatory on your part that you have to resort for Aadhaar enabled payment system. Otherwise, it is not on by default. Okay, by default, how you will make payment? By UPI today, or by card payment, or by bank transfer, account transfer using IFSC code. By default, Aadhaar enabled payment system is not on. Only it is mandatory only when you are a benefactor of any subsidy. Then only you will have to resort to Aadhaar enabled payment system. Please get this in mind. It will be asked as a simple liner in prelims. Please don't get confused and please don't lose out on such marks. Those who are watching me, I am being very strict now in this part. For the first time, I am being very strict. I am raising my voice. Don't let yourself commit forced errors. Okay, because such questions will be done right by most of the aspirants, and if you commit forced errors in such questions, you are losing your good all India rank. You are losing your attempt basically. So no forced errors. Is Aadhaar enabled payment system on by default? No. Where it is mandated? Only under the Section 7 of the Aadhaar Act, where you are the benefactor of any subsidy. Please keep this in mind properly. Don't forget it. Okay. And can the biometric information be linked? Okay. How it can be linked and what is the point source of that trace? Okay. UIDI database is not the only source from where data can be leaked. So you are giving your fingerprint, it is being stored in the UIDI database, but it is not the only source from where the information can be leaked. Aadhaar numbers are readily available in the form of photocopies, soft copies, and criminals are using Aadhaar enabled payment systems to bridge user information. Scammers in the past have made use of silicon to trick devices into initiating transactions. Once your Aadhaar number is available and once the cyber criminal has got the silicon fingerprint or the silicon thumb on which your fingerprint has been captured, it's very easy to deduct money. So UIDI's database is not the only source of bridge. The Aadhaar copies which are so readily available, you must be seeing in your household only. Okay, the elderly people, they take out n number of copies of their Aadhaar card, Xerox copies, so that they can utilize in future. But if one of them ends up in the hands of cyber criminals, then what? It's done and dusted. Okay. Then how to secure your Aadhaar information? Okay, this is very, very important. Okay, how you can secure your Aadhaar information, or how is the process? The UIDI in proposing an amendment to Aadhaar regulations of 16, which will require entities in possession of Aadhaar number to not share details unless the Aadhaar numbers have been redacted or blacked out through appropriate means, both in print and electronic form. So unless and until you redact, unless and until you die or your information is no more viable or no more in the utilitarian perspective, no information can be shared with anybody unless and until when it has been redacted or blacked out through appropriate means, both print and electronic form. The UIDI has also implemented a new two-factor authentication mechanism that uses a machine learning based security system combining fingerprint minutiae and finger image capture to check the liveliness of a fingerprint. Additionally, users are also advised to ensure that they log their Aadhaar information by visiting UIDI website or using the mobile app. So all of you must be knowing this, that you can log your Aadhaar information, you can log your biometrics on the website of UIDI, but this is a new thing which UIDI is now implementing. This is with regards to machine learning. So please get this straight. What do you mean by this? Liveliness of a fingerprint. So as soon as you put your thumb on the biometric scanner, so what that biometric scanner will do? The biometric scanner will do two things. Number first, it will quickly map out your fingerprint properly. Okay, so any corrugations on your thumb, so if you are seeing this thumb, my thumb is full of corrugation, you have corrugations, and each of the fingerprint of the individual is unique. So the fingerprint scanner will do what? It will quickly map out my finger. Okay, how unique is my fingerprint? And the second thing which that scanner will do, it will capture the image of my thumb. Up till now, the image was not being captured, but now the image will also be captured. So you have details and plus you have a photo too. Both of this will be fed up to machine learning to check the liveliness of a fingerprint. Whether you are, so if now anybody is using a silicon thumb of my fingerprint, and as soon as he puts on the biometric scanner, what will happen? Will the image of my fingerprint match over there? It's highly unlikely. Why? Because he is using silicon thumb. So as he is using silicon thumb, it does not match the texture of my skin. So the liveliness of the fingerprint is not matching. Hence, this is a novel mechanism which UIDAI has started, which can be asked again in prelims. Don't forget. Okay. The UIDAI has also implemented a new factor authentication mechanism that uses machine learning based security. The machine is learning, combining fingerprint minutia. Minutia means a small scale map of your fingerprint and finger image capture to check the liveliness of a fingerprint. What you will check? The liveliness of a fingerprint. Okay, liveness of the fingerprint. And what can be done in case of financial scam using Aadhaar? If users have not logged their Aadhaar biometric system, they should do so immediately. And in case of any suspicious activity in the bank accounts, users are advised to inform their banks and concerns authorities as soon as possible. And as per RBI, it has been stated that the customer's entitlement to zero liability arises where unauthorized transaction occurs. So if unauthorized transaction is occurring using your bank accounts, are you liable to that? No. Whose liability? It will be the liability of the banks. Okay, and the customer notifies the bank within 3 working days of the receiving a communication from the bank regarding such unauthorized transaction. So if anyone is deducting money from your bank and you are getting it knowing that, oh, my money is going, so it's your duty to file a complaint or to register a complaint with the bank within 3 working days. If you do so, you have zero liability. And whose liability it is? It is the bank's liability. Okay, so guys, I'm quickly summarizing this article for you. What is Aadhaar enabled payment system? Aadhaar enabled payment system is that payment system wherein you use the bank's name, you use your Aadhaar number, and you use your biometrics which you have registered during the enrollment of Aadhaar. Using this, you make the payment. Do you get OTP on your smartphones? No, you don't get OTP on your smartphones. Is it mandated? No. It is mandated only when you are a benefactor of subsidy under section 7 of the Aadhaar Act. Then only Aadhaar enabled payment system is mandatory. Okay. Now, is your data being breached only from the UIDAI's website? No. The soft copies, the photocopies of Aadhaar card which are so freely circulating in the market can be used by the cyber criminals. And cyber criminals can generate your thumbprint using silicon thumbs. So to counter this, UIDAI is now using machine learning. Using machine learning, it is doing two things. Number first, it is capturing the image of your biometric scan, and number two, it is doing what? It is capturing your fingerprint minutia. What do you mean by minutia? Minutia is basically a small scale map of your fingerprint, and both of them are combined using machine learning to check the liveness of your fingerprint. Okay, so this is a new initiative which UIDAI has started based on machine learning. So this era being the era of artificial intelligence, it becomes necessary for UIDAI to do so. Okay. And what about the security lock? Yes, you can actually lock your biometric information on the Aadhaar's website. You can free to do that. And what happens if still you have a breach in your data? If still somebody is deducting your money, you have zero liability with regards to that unless and until you give this information, you inform the regulator within 3 working days. If you inform after 3 working days, then you don't have zero liability. It's your now concern that why you did not inform, and it becomes very difficult to get your money back. Okay, so I hope this article was enough for you all for understanding the lacunas with regards to Aadhaar enabled payment system and how it can be translated into prelims and mains both. Okay, now the next article is very important article with regards to advancements in the field of science and tech. Okay, and after that we just have two headline articles which will cover in less than 2 to 3 minutes, but this article is very very important. Okay, those of you who are watching me, please feel free to comment whether you will get this article in a proper manner or not. If you are not getting this article in the way I am speaking, I will tone down my level. Okay, those who are listening to me and those who will listen to me in future discourse, you are free to comment on YouTube whether you have gotten this article the way I am addressing to you all. If not, I will tone down my level. Okay, so now all of you must be familiar with Chat GPT. Okay, Chat GPT, it has been launched in the fourth form of itself. So now we are having Chat GPT 4. The fourth version of Chat GPT has been launched. Okay, so what is Chat GPT? What does the T in the end of GPT stands for? Okay, and what are its lacunas, and how is this technology, how this technology can be used for good purposes and for bad purposes? That is what we are going to study in this article, and this article has almost 1000% chance of you being asked in the prelims and in the mains too. Why? Because UPSC is very notorious in asking new technologies. So it is very imperative, guys, that you get these technologies beforehand, you understand what is the core issue, so that you don't get left out in prelims and mains. I am deliberately saying this, guys, don't get left out in prelims and mains. Why? Simple one-liner question will come. If you leave this article, your marks are gone. And I don't want each and any one of you to do this. We are taking efforts so that you score good all India rank. Please respect this. Okay, let's move ahead. What is transformer? Okay, the machine learning model that powers Chat GPT. What is transformer? The machine learning model that powers Chat GPT. Okay, in a pioneering paper entitled "Attention is All You Need" that appeared in 2017, a team of Google proposed transformers, a deep neural network architecture that has today gained popularity across all modalities. The capital T in Chat GPT. Okay, so the capital T in Chat GPT stands for transformer. So in this article, what we are going to primarily focus on, we are going to focus on the word transformer. This will be our primary focus, and this is where UPSC can frame questions in prelims and mains both, because this is a fairly new technology and this is a fairly destructive technology. So understand this clear distinction, guys. Does UPSC ask question on technology? Yes. Does UPSC ask question on any technology? No. On which part UPSC normally frames question? Destructive technologies. Such technologies which have actually destroyed whatever was happening and they have elevated a new level. They have basically created a new platform. So now ChatGPT 4 has basically destroyed everything in the world that we know with regards to your understanding of artificial intelligence. Now artificial intelligence can write poems, artificial intelligence can write essays, artificial intelligence can even solve UPSC's mains question paper. So this is highly daunting, guys. So high propensity that UPSC may frame a question on transformer. So please guess this issue holistically. Okay. Machine learning, a subfield of artificial intelligence, teaches computers to solve tasks based on structured data, language, audio, or images by providing examples of inputs and the desired outputs. Okay. So what is machine learning basically? Machine learning is basically you are feeding food to the computer. In what way you are feeding food to the computer? On the basis of structured data, languages, audio, or images, and providing examples of inputs and the desired outputs. So if I want computer to understand that this face is the face of Pritesh Mathurkar, so what I will do? First of all, I will feed the computer different faces of human beings so that computer recognizes, oh, this face is that of a human being, this face is not that of a tiger. Okay, so computer has recognized that this face is the face of human being, but I want what output from the computer? The computer should understand that this face is of Pritesh Mathurkar. So I will have to give such input to the computer. Now in what way I can give input to the computer? So the input can be like this: Pritesh Mathurkar wears specs. Pritesh Mathurkar is having a mole on its upper right lip. So if you can see, I am having a mole over here. My ears are a little bit protruding. My nose is a little bit straight. Okay, sorry guys, I'm basically documenting my face in front of you, but this is how you need to inform to the computer that this face is the registered face of Pritesh Mathurkar. So we will have to give such inputs and the desired outputs. So I want that computer should recognize this face of Pritesh Mathurkar. So I am feeding this information to the computer that I want you to recognize this to be the face of Pritesh Mathurkar. So for that, I will use images. I will use different data sets. The data sets may be structured. So I'm again reiterating, what is machine learning? Machine learning is a subfield of artificial intelligence, teaches computers to solve tasks based on structured data, language, audio, images by providing examples of inputs and desired outputs. Here, machine learning models learn to generate desirable outputs by adjusting its many knobs, often in the millions. So, the more the data is fed to the machine learning, the more it adjusts its knobs, the more will be the desired output. Okay, so let's move ahead. Okay. So basically, what are deep neural networks and how this technology is coming into play, and what was the break-even point that today we have such kind of technologies in the world. Okay. So in the first part of 2010s, deep neural networks took over machine learning by storm, replacing the classic pipeline of handcrafted features and simpler classifiers. Deep neural network ingest a complete document or image and generate a final output without the need to specify a particular way of extracting features. What do you mean by this? DNS ingest a complete document or image and generate a final output without the need to specify a particular way of extracting features. What do you mean by this? Okay. So now I want the computer to recognize that this to be the face of Pritesh Mathurkar. So using deep neural networks, what can be done? It can be done in two-way manner. The first thing it can be done is that I'm providing data set to the computers. The second way it can be done that I'm instructing the computer that if this face is meeting this criteria, then this will be the face of Pritesh Mathurkar. So it can be done in any of the two ways. So it does not matter in which of the two ways is being done. You don't need to specify the way you are extracting the data. What you want is that you are giving an input and you want a desired output. And that is why deep neural networks took everything by storm, because prior to that you need to write up a code. You need to specify, okay, these are the parameters, this is the code, and then after that code, as soon as you hit enter, you will have a final output. But now who is doing all this? The computer is doing all this. The computer is doing recognition, the computer is doing image processing, the computer is learning everything, and he is giving the desired output. I'm using the word he, okay, I'm basically attributing the computer to be a person so that we get to know what that person really is. Okay. So if he is able to do this without any of the inputs, and without specifying which way he is doing, then we say that that computer or that person is now using machine learning. Okay. Please understand this. DNS ingest a complete document or image and generate a final output without the need to specify a particular way of extracting features. So it's the computer's prerogative to use whatever way the computer wants to extract features, but we want the final output. Okay. The resurgence of DNS in the 2010s is attributed to the availability of large-scale data and fast parallel computing chips called graphic processing units. So now if you go to buy a new computer, if you go to buy a new laptop or a smartphone, anything, it has a thing called as GPU. GPU stands for graphic processing unit. What do you mean by graphic processing unit? Graphic processing means your computer, your laptop, your cell phone is able to recognize the different shapes. Your computer, your phone is able to generate different shapes. So if you are playing a game, and in that game, if the processor has to process the data on the basis of facial features, wherein you are interacting with the AI, so that can be done only by whom? By the graphic processing units. So the DNS or the deep neural networks basically came into technological perspective. Why? Because you had advancements in the field of graphic processing units. So the mother of DNS, the mother of deep neural networks is whom? The graphic processing unit. Please remember this. Okay. In a pioneering paper entitled Attention All You Need that appeared in 2007, a team at Google proposed transformers, a deep neural network architecture that has today gained popularity across all modalities. The original paper proposed transformers for the task of translating a sentence from one language to another, similar to what Google Translate does when converting a sentence from, say, English to Hindi. So what are transformers basically? If I'm asking you what is transformer, so transformer is nothing but DNN, deep neural network. One line definition of what is transformer: the chat GPT, the T in the GPT stands for what? Transformer. What is transformer? Transformer is a deep neural network. What is a deep neural network? Deep neural network is an offset of machine learning wherein it does not matter what way the computer is extracting the features, as long as you are getting the desired outputs. And how deep neural networks are being processed today, it is dependent on the GPU of your computer. So if you have GPU in your laptop, if you have GPU in your smartphones, then it can easily perform the function of deep neural network and you can easily have a transformer. So as soon as you open up chat GPT in your laptop, so which unit of your laptop starts processing? Graphic processing. Please get this very properly. Okay, let's move ahead. Okay, a transformer is a two-part neural network. Now here I am discussing the working of transformer. What is transformer? Transformer is a two-part neural network. The first part is an encoder that ingests the input sentence in the source language, let's say English, and the second part is the decoder that generates the translated sentence in the target language. So you have an encoder and you have a decoder. So encoder will do what? Encoder will feed up the sentence in English and decoder will translate that into Hindi. So it's a two-part network. A transformer is a two-part neural network. The first part is encoder that ingests the input systems in the source language English, and the second part is a decoder. You encode and you decode that generates the translated sentence in the target language, which is Hindi. Okay. A key improvement over the previous methods is the ability of transformer to translate long sentences or paragraphs correctly. So, why ChatGPT is so much popular? Because it can translate long sentences or paragraphs correctly. So, you must be seeing that ChatGPT is giving you poems. ChatGPT is translating big text of different languages into another language. So, this is the biggest improvement with regards to the transformer models. The adoption of transformers subsequently exploded. The capital T in ChatGPT, for example, will stand for transformer. Okay. Okay. And what is attention? Please remember that transformers will function on what? Transformers will function on attention model. Transformers are attention models on steroids. They feature several attention layers above within the encoder to provide meaningful context across the input sentence or image and form the decoder to the encoder when generating a translated sentence or describing an image. I'm again reiterating and I will be explaining using board, don't worry. Transformers are attention models are steroids. They feature several attention layers both within the encoder to provide meaningful context across the input sentence or image and from the decoder to the encoder when generating a translated sentence or describing an image. So what do you mean by this? So let me just open up notes so that I can explain you how the transformer works and what are the different technologies involved. Okay. So if we are discussing like what is a transformer, so chat GPT 4. Okay, let's say we are discussing the fourth iteration. So this is our chat GPT. So the T in this will stand for transformer. The T in this will stand for transformer. Okay, transformer is basically a what? It is a two-part. It is a two-part or two-layer deep neural network. Okay, what is deep neural network? Deep neural network is any network, or it is based on machine learning, which basically recognizes the desired input and the desired output. So if you want a particular output from the input, you go for deep neural network. And deep neural network functions on what? It functions on the GPU of your computer, the graphic processing unit. Okay, so two layers of DNN. What are these two layers? You have a encoder, okay, which encodes the layer. So let's say you want to translate something from English to Hindi. Okay, so what will the encoder do? Encoder will feed up the information in English, and what will the decoder do? Decoder will translate the information from English to Hindi and decode it back to Hindi. So encode will encode in English, decode will decode it back in Hindi. And for this you will be having memory flanks. So in one particular slack, English information will be given, and in another slack, decoder will translate that from English to Hindi. And this is where the transformer, or this is where the DNN will come in, the deep neural network. So for this to translate, for someone to translate the information from English to Hindi, you will require what? You will require attention. You will require attention. Why? If you are translating from English to Hindi, and if one word is translated in some other language, will your sentence be translated correctly? Will your paragraph be translated correctly? So let's say a deep neural network is translating something from English to Hindi, and one line of that paragraph, instead of being translated into Hindi, it is being translated into Punjabi. So are you getting the desired output? No. So for this you require what? You require attention models. Attention models are what? They are basically layers atop the encoder. What will attention model ensure? Attention model will ensure that whatever information is translated from English to Hindi, that is being translated correctly. So attention is where you pay what? You give the data sets to the encoder. You give the data sets to the DNN so that it transforms this information correctly. So what is basically ChatGPT? ChatGPT is a transformer model which is based on attention. Hence the word attention. Okay. So if I'm now quickly opening up that article again. So what is attention? What is transformer model? Okay. Transformers are attention models on steroids. They feature several attention layers both within the encoder so that the encoder transforms it properly to provide meaningful context across the input sentence or image. So if I'm giving the encoder the information of this marker, so you will need to have an attention layer. What is that attention layer? So the encoder needs to understand that this is a marker. So you will have to give this information in the form of attention. The encoder will have to attend this properly. You will have to give the encoder the attention that you are now seeing which image. You are seeing the image of a marker. So please decode it properly. Okay. Layers within the encoder to provide meaningful context across the input sentence or image, or from the decoder to the encoder when generating the translated sentence or describing an image. Okay, in the last year, the transformer models have become larger and train on more data than before. When this colossus train or return text, they are called large language model. What do you mean by this? That up till now, you had a data set which was running in millions. Now you have data set which is running in billions. But ChatGPT 4 is working on a data set which is working on trillions of data. ChatGPT uses hundreds of billions of parameters, whereas ChatGPT 4 uses what? Hundreds of trillions. So now just imagine the deep neural network is being given the attention of how much of data? Hundreds of trillions of data sets. So now just imagine how good the attention model will be. Okay, so hence the name of the paper, guys. What is the name of the paper? The name of the paper, if I'm reiterating, okay, pioneering paper, attention is all you need. Why? Because when you are encoding the data and when you are decoding the data, you need to pay close attention. So the ChatGPT 4 or the large learning models, it is called as the large language models. Okay, what are the large learning models? LLM. The large language models, the large learning models are basically what? They are nothing but attention models. They are nothing but attention models, and these attention models have the data set of how much? Hundreds of trillions. So the more the data you give, the more will be the attention, the more will be the encoding and decoding done. The more proper will be the desired output from the given input. Please understand this very properly. You are giving in an input and you want a desired output. So for this, you need to have close attention. So the transformer will work on an attention model. It will be an attention model on steroid. What is transformer? Transformer is a two-part deep neural network wherein you have encoding and wherein you have decoding. This encoding and decoding needs to be done with close attention. Hence, attention model is very, very important in transformer. Okay, what is ChatGPT-4? ChatGPT-4 is nothing but a transformer model which is working on attention, and it is using hundreds of trillions of data sets. Okay, so I hope this article is now clear to you. You are free to comment, guys, if you have gotten the article. If you want, I can repeat some information, otherwise I will move forward. Okay. Now, the next article is a headline article. You don't have to deal with that in so much detail. So the Defense Ministry's IDEX reaches a milestone. Okay, what is IDEX? Okay, so IDEX was basically an initiative of the Defense Ministry wherein it was decided that now we will open up the defense manufacturing sector, we will open up the defense sector so that private entities, so that private aggregators can come and improve the defense capability manufacturing of India and also the defense architecture of India. So what is IDEX? IDEX is an ecosystem to foster innovation and technology development in defense and aerospace by engaging innovators and entrepreneurs to deliver technologically advanced solutions for modernizing Indian military. So now you will be using innovators, private innovators and entrepreneurs for modernizing the military. IDEX will engage with industries including MSMEs, startups, individual innovators, R&D institutes and academia, and provide them grants, funding and other support to carry out R&D development which has good potential for future adoption in Indian defense and aerospace. So basically you will be giving funds to the individual research institutes, to the individual MSMEs, to the individual startups so that they can modernize the Indian defense military. Why this news is important? Because Innovation for Defense Acceleration, IDEX, the flagship initiative of Ministry of Defense, has reached a milestone with the signing of 250th contract. So now you are having 250 contracts which IDEX has signed with private incubators, with private innovators. The first one under being the mentioned DIFSpace and the 100th sprint contract on Monday. Okay, so the first one was mission in DevSpace, the 100th was with the Sprint Navy, and today we have the 250th contract being signed by IDEX. So this is a major milestone by IDEX, so you need to remember this. Okay, so just a headline article, nothing more than that. And then the last article of today is again a headline based article, okay, wherein the railways are doing what? The railways are on a track to overhaul the signage system. Okay, so if you go to a railway station, okay, so if you go to a railway station, so often the boards are very confusing. You don't know what is the platform number. So as soon as you see the platform number board, first of all, it is spray printed in India. Most of the boards on the railway system are spray printed by tobacco. Sorry, I'm using very blunt language, but that is the true case in India. Okay, so you have spray painting everywhere on the railway stations. So first of all, we have to clear that, and after that, the language or the signage is very confusing, because as soon as you go to the railway station, the board should be grouped properly. Grouped in the sense of what? That on the first line it should be written the platform number, then which trains arrive, then where you have toilets, where you have the public utilities, and whether this platform or this staircase is accessible friendly, is disabled friendly. So the railways are now overhauling their signage system. So instead of using any color, now they are representing the signage using tricolor, the tricolor being the color of the Indian flag, and now they will regroup the information. Regroup means on just one single board you will have all the information available, so that you don't have to run helter skelter. So atop you will have the discussion of the platform numbers, you will have the discussion of the railways which are coming, the trains which are coming. Below that you will have what? You will have the information with regards to public utilities, and lastly whether that board is or whether that platform is disabled friendly. Okay, so directions to be available at key decision making points, pictograms for wheelchair assistance, ramps, tourist information, mobile charging points and escalators have been standardized. Okay, so the Indian Railways is planning to overhaul the signage system at railway system for better traveling as a part of passengers on the basis of fresh design principles. And what is the name of the act? Under the Amrit Bharat Station Scheme. Which is the scheme under which this is being done, is where the standardizing of the railway signage is being done. Please remember the name of the scheme. It is Amrit Bharat Station Scheme. Okay, Amrit Bharat Station Scheme. Don't forget, if it is asked in prelims, you will lose out on marks. Then you will end up going into the negative territory. And I don't want each and every one of you to do this. Okay, so under the Amrit Bharat scheme, the entire signage is changing. So we will be using the colors which are based on tricolor. Okay, and in this we will do what? We will do regrouping of information. We will do regrouping of information. Please remember this, regrouping. Okay, directions to be available at key decision points, pictograms for wheelchair assistance, ramps, tourist information, mobile charging points and escalators, and all of this have been standardized under the Amrit Bharat Station Scheme. Okay, so guys, this summarizes the articles for today. I hope these articles were eye-opening to everyone and that you have got the context in which I was speaking with all of you. I'm again reiterating my name, guys. My name is Pritesh Mathurkar. I will be your primary faculty for analyzing the current affair analysis with regards to Hindu. All of these PDFs will be readily available to a channel called as the Hindu Analysis Zone. For joining this channel, you can just do a global search on Telegram at the Hindu Analysis Zone, and I want each and every one of you to make it special. Okay, it's your responsibility that you are making it special and you are working on the content. Okay, and before closing in, again I will like to point out that today's articles were little bit demeaning with regards to the involvement of the vulnerable sections of the society, but it becomes very imperative that you form good opinions on that, especially the women folk in this class who are watching me or who will be watching me further. Please treat these articles with respect. Okay, and just one time analysis of the articles is done for you understanding what are the lacunas. Okay, and vulnerable section is a separate section in your GS paper 2. Each year you will have minimum of 2 questions on that. So please make sure that whenever Supreme Court gives such judgment or such judicial dictats or it overreaches the boundary, you make sure that you are summarizing such articles properly. Okay, so on the behalf of StudyIQ IAS English, I extend my warmest regards to everyone. I hope this session was enlightening to everyone and that you will continue this journey with me. So see you all sharp tomorrow at 9 AM for analysis of the Hindu of 17th of May. Till then, please take good care of yourself and study hard and smart, because that is what the civil services examination demands. Be consistent. Okay. See you all tomorrow. Bye-bye. Thank you, Anu. Thank you, Stuti.